Welcome back to another episode of Dreading, or if this is your first time here, welcome. Today we're going to be going over the remainder of Chris Watts' second interrogation, including his polygraph test. This video was recorded at a separate time than this introduction. It was meant to be one part, but as YouTube and our internet continues to throttle our uploads, we've had to make do. The previous portion of this footage will be linked below, alongside our other videos going over this case. If you haven't seen any of our coverage, you may very well be lost, so I urge you to use those videos as a resource. With all of that said, let us begin.
Because she'd been away, when she was in North Carolina for 6 weeks, and then she comes home for 2 days and goes to Arizona. She only been home for 2 days in a 6.5 week span. So she was just ready to be home, be with us, and just kind of just be around us.
So, what time was she originally supposed to be home?
11.
Oh, 11?
Yeah.
Okay. So obviously that gets delayed till whenever.
Yep. She got home, she didn't get home till 2. She didn't leave there till 11. I think they're an hour behind.
Okay.
In Phoenix.
Okay.
At this time of year.
Did she text you when she landed, or did you know?
No, she texted me that it was delayed. And I think she texted me when she took off, but she didn't text me when she landed.
Okay.
I just felt her get into bed.
Okay, and you said that was around 2, you think?
2 o'clock.
And you know there was a doorbell thing, is that what you said?
Yeah.
At 1:48? Describe the doorbell thing.
So it's got whenever a proximity, she walks up.
Like a motion thing?
Yeah.
Okay. And now, is that tied to a home security system, or is it just a single doorbell thing?
The doorbell records it on to the our control panel.
So it's all tied together?
Yeah.
Like garage alarms?
Yeah, everything.
Alarms, window, whatever?
Well, there's no windows, but just
okay.
There's a living room motion thing and a basement motion. And we have open and shut sensors on the basement door and the rear sliding door, and obviously the front door and both garage doors.
So is it anytime they're open, or just if they're
Anytime
open for
open.
an extended period of time?
So if a door is left open, after a certain amount of time, it'll say the front door at 2825 Saratoga Trail has been left open.
So did it alert you that she was outside using the keypad to get in when she got home, or?
No, it picked her up walking up to the door.
And did it alert you that?
When I saw it the next morning when I woke up.
It wasn't enough that it woke you up?
Oh no, it's very a faint ding type thing.
And what's the living room one? What's that for?
It's just a motion detector. If you set alarm to away, nobody's gonna be in the house. That's stuff like that. It'll pick that up and set alarm off.
Is it on when you're home though?
No, if you set it to away while you're home, you're just gonna check the alarm.
Okay. So you don't have any of those active, I guess, when you're at
Well, it's always active, but it's not set to. You can set it to away and stay or disarmed, but it's still gonna pick it up.
Oh, okay.
It'll if you look on my phone, go to the Vivint app, it'll show you living room motion system detected.
So, and I guess just for my own knowledge, did you actually look at that? Obviously, when she went missing, and the girls, did you look at your living room alarms and that? To see if there was stuff going on in the living room?
It doesn't once because we had so many doorbell trips because it was messing up so much as far as little things setting it off. I can only go to the history so far.
This is a significant change to the story that Chris has been trying to push. If you recall, initially, Chris told the responding officer that the home security was glitchy and sometimes went off for no reason. The sensors would state doors were open when they were closed, and it was entirely unreliable. However, when Chris was informed that the neighbor's security camera only caught him leaving the house that morning, and that there was no plausible way for the family to have left the home after he left, he began to tell anyone that would listen that the home security stated that the garage door to the home never fully closed, and was left ajar the entire morning. He went so far as to try and convince the responding officer, who had surveyed the home and checked every possible entrance, that the garage door had somehow been left ajar, and that was how the girls got out. It seems that sometime within the past 24 hours, he realized how silly that was, and is back to saying the security system is unreliable.
So you don't pay for the cloud storage for that?
No.
Okay. Is that an option?
They had never given it to me.
Okay.
But
So how far did it go back?
I'm not sure how many different events that it can store. Like it'll have notifications, you can scroll a bell, it eventually just ends.
Chris's passive attitude here is telling, because it's how the average person would talk about their home security system. They'd shrug off not getting the cloud storage for it, finding it to be unnecessary, and they'd go over the features with a laissez-faire attitude, because it's not as if it has ever helped them in an actual emergency. But Chris's entire family is missing. The home security could prove that his wife and daughters were in the home long after he left, and that Shanann had taken the girls. If there was movement on the sensors and throughout the home, he could prove that she had taken the girls and left, or he could prove that someone came into the home and took them. If he was interested in getting them back to safety, this would be something that he feels passionately for. He would be regretful over not getting the cloud storage, backing up the software, and fixing the sensors. He would feel upset over his past choices because he had no idea that this could happen, but instead, he talks about this so casually that you would have never guessed that he was discussing his missing wife and daughters.
Not sure how long they'll actually keep it.
So when this all happened, did you look on there and it, like...
The only thing that I saw that was really strange was that when I left, it said the garage door stayed open.
And no, so if that was on there at 5, whatever, in the morning, right, wouldn't the other stuff still be there too that happened after? Like if there was motion in the living room or the basement or whatever?
It should have been the only thing. There was like a basement door left open and garage door left open.
If Shanann and the girls had been in the house after Chris left that morning, the security sensors would have noted that. Even with their glitches, they would have notated Shanann getting the girls up and ready for the day, as well as leaving to take them to daycare, cleaning the home, and more. That morning, they left with him in his work truck. Based on the sensors and his neighbor's footage, that much is clear. The fact that Chris continues to believe that he can weasel his way out of this situation is absurd. As previously stated, he has the arrogance of a much better liar, most likely because he had only ever lied to people who deeply trusted him.
When was the basement door left open?
It was about the same time.
5:27?
Yeah, it was like within a minute.
And then what was the other one, did you say?
That garage door left open.
Was the basement door open when you went back?
Not that I remember. Like when I got there, everything was shut. Garage door was shut. Basement door was shut.
What, like, you go out to the basement, like,
The basement
is it a
is-
walkout?
No,
Oh,
it's a garden level.
okay.
So there's like the windows. I mean, you can see the backyard. It's not like one of the ones that's like a normal one where it's like a deep dive, like where you have to look up to see like the level of the grass.
So what's the basement door then, I guess
Oh, so the basement door is, so like when you walk in you walk into the house through the garage, and then as you're walking to the living room, you take a right, and then that's the basement door that leads down into the basement.
Oh, so that door has an alarm?
It has a sensor that tells you when it's open, because you can, since it's a garden level basement, the windows, you can walk into the backyard, and you can open a window. You don't have to dip down, you just open a window and you can walk in, type thing.
So there's an alarm on the
There's a little-
interior door
yeah.
because
Because like you could,
in case an intruder came in
yeah,
through
through the window,
basement?
yeah, like stuff like that.
Okay. And that one went off too? Like,
Yeah.
was that before the garage or after the garage? Which
I think
one
it
was
was,
first?
one was at 526, one was at 527. I think the 527 one was the garage, and the 526 was basement left open.
Do you get those a lot, or do you guys even hang out in the basement usually, or?
I'm usually down there just to like work out, but I didn't work out that morning, so like it definitely wasn't open when I left.
No one could have broken in from the basement. The basement windows were locked from the inside when Nicole, her son, and Officer Coonrod came to the home. The only way Shanann and the girls could have gotten out of the home while the doors and windows were locked from the inside was through the garage, which could have been captured on the neighbor's security footage.
What about that night, do you remember, or that morning, I should say?
I think it was a t-shirt. I think it was a t-shirt and underwear. I think that's because it gets so hot in the house. We had issues where the AC for the top level had been like cutting out, so it just felt hotter upstairs usually.
Okay.
So like, I mean, I just sleep in boxers, and like, I know that, you know, we're both like furnaces, so like when we're in bed, so.
Okay. So a t-shirt, underwear, like, do you know that, or are you just
I'm just
guessing?
guessing.
Okay. Did you see her, like,
I
outside of the covers?
just saw her like, you know, like here up, 'cause that's when, like, I felt her crawl in the bed.
Was there hugging or kissing or anything else that went on when she got into bed?
No, I just feel her get into bed.
Where's your, like, how do you sleep?
I sleep like facing the wall.
And what side of the bed do you sleep on?
So I'm on, like, if this is the bed, I'm on the right side, she's on the left side, so I'm usually like this. I'm usually on my back or side. I'm not a stomach sleeper or anything.
Okay. So your back is to her, basically. When
That's when I kind of feel her, because that bed is, it's never pretty bed, but like it sucks. And I could feel her get into bed.
Okay. And then, as far as like jewelry, does she take off jewelry? I don't even know if she wears jewelry.
And the only thing she wears is her wedding ring.
Does she wear that to bed?
Mm-hmm. The only thing, like, only time she ever takes it off is to color her hair.
To color her hair. So she keeps it. Now, had she stopped wearing it at all because of, you know, you guys going through your hard time or anything like she wore it to Arizona and all of that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. So, because I think, was her ring left in the house?
Yes, on the nightstand.
Was that unusual?
Very.
Like you found that to be odd, not...
Yeah, if she colored her hair, it'd be in the bathroom. And then she put it right back on.
Did you see any evidence that she colored her hair, like to...
No, because she just colored her hair the week before.
Okay.
Because I think her mom and her, they're going to do it because her mom's a hairdresser.
Okay.
So.
Once again, Chris is attempting to frame his wife. He is trying to insinuate that because he found her ring in the home after she supposedly left, it's a sign that she took the kids and is now on the run.
Was it with her mom, or...?
Well, she was going to do it because her mom's a hairdresser there, but I think she just colored it on her own.
Okay.
Because she was
as far as,
asking.
like, evidence of maybe her changing her hair to a different color, like to, you know, disguise herself, like, did you get any...
Mm-mm. Nothing. I mean, like, most of the time she likes to keep her hair black. So.
Okay. So, she gets into bed, you feel her get into bed, and then is there a conversation at all?
When she gets into bed, no. Like, I wait till I get up.
Okay, and then you get up at 4,
Get
do
ready.
your stuff.
Yep.
And then what happens after that?
That's when she had told me the night before, like, you know, when I get home, I wanna get up so I can get this airport off, like take a shower, you know.
Tell me what that means.
Well, get the airport off of me, you know, like type of thing. Like, she didn't want to just, you know, get in that late and hop in the shower and stuff like that. She just wanted to go to sleep. So like, she wanted to get up, like when I got up, so she could take a shower.
She wanted to get up in 2 hours?
Well, no, she thought that like she'd be home at 11, but that wasn't the case.
Oh, so did she tell you that when she was supposed to be home at 11?
Yeah.
But did you think still, like, maybe she still wants to get up and...
No, I felt, if I assume, like, I know I'm just, you know, it's not
You'd
gonna...
be in trouble?
I would be in trouble. So
like, why did you wake me up? I was supposed to take a shower.
I've done that many times, and I learned that you have to just do what she says.
Okay.
When it comes to that, because I don't want to make her mad, so.
Okay. So, she ends up, you wake her up. How do you wake her up?
I just, like, you know, like, I noticed, like, not to, like, you know, go like that, you know, just kind of, like, rub her shoulder, just kind of, like, really lightly, because she'll give me the alligator eye, like, one eye open, one eye shut type thing, and, like, look at me like, what the hell are you doing type thing. But, like, you just kind of, like, rub her head just a little bit, just kind of wake her up, like, slowly, not where it's, like, jolting her or anything like that, and that's how I woke her up.
So are you outside the bed when you're doing that?
I slid back into bed.
So you're in bed doing that?
Yeah,
Okay.
on top of the covers.
Like, on top?
Yeah.
Okay.
'Cause I'm in my work clothes and everything like that.
Okay, and what did she say?
She's like, I asked her, like, hey, you wanna wake up, take a shower? And she's like, yeah, I'll do it. Something like that. And then I told her, like, can we talk a little bit? And she was like, yeah, let's talk.
Like, was she groggy at all, or was she like...
No, I mean, she was pretty...
Pretty with it?
Yeah, pretty with it, and surprisingly, but, like, yeah, she was pretty with it.
Okay, and how did you start that conversation?
I told her, we need to sell this house, like, we need to downsize. We need to get something to where we're not, it's not strapped so much. Cause I mean, the house, I mean, we're paying like, I mean, can I go down how much we're paying a month for the house?
Yeah.
It was like $2,700 a month. And that's a lot. And I mean, with the kids' school, like, it was a lot. So it was like, all right, if we can like sell the house, like she had already contacted the realtor like the week before through an email. So like the realtor already kind of knew about like that we were interested in selling the house. And so like we
And how long have you lived in that house?
2013.
Okay, so.
In May 2013.
Okay.
So like, yeah, we went through that, and actually like I was, you know, maybe just get something smaller, like Brighton, North Glen, I mean, somewhere that's cheaper. I mean, I know nothing's cheap right now, but just something. But like, I told her, you know, like, and told her about what I was feeling. Like, I didn't want to text her, I didn't want to call her about like a separation, like really, like, I wanted to be face to face with her talking about that. And
So tell me how that conversation went.
it was just about like, I just don't feel the connection anymore, and that like how we were together, like it just wasn't working anymore, and that like the love that we had in the beginning, I don't feel that anymore. And that, I mean, she said, you know, like it was more of just crying and emotional, and it was.
Was he mad at all?
He unemotionally recounts how upset and distraught Shanann was over him ending the relationship, but is utterly unable to present any details of what Shanann said. He simply states that she was crying and emotional, as if it was something that would be surprising in the situation. Chris completely emotionally cut off Shanann after he began his relationship with Nicole. It wasn't a slow period of falling out of love with his wife. He simply decided one day he didn't love her, and that was that. He stopped being affectionate, he stopped talking to her beyond when they were forced to interact for the sake of the kids, and he completely shut down around her, treating her like a roommate rather than a partner. To be able to so effectively shut one's emotions off is unnatural, and many experts have weighed in, with some claiming that he is a sociopath, others claiming he's a psychopath, and one going so far as to state he is simply an emotionally inadequate man. Whatever the case, Chris possesses the ability to simply shut off his emotions towards a person, and even now, after murdering her, he can't even pretend to have cared for her in the first place. To be clear, this is strange even for murderers. Many family annihilators emotionally break down in interrogations, hysterically sobbing when claiming their innocence. The emotional toll killing one's family takes on a person is great, and the fact that Chris is so calm, cold, and collected is odd, even for the small subjective people who murdered their families.
I mean, being crying like she was, crying like I was. I mean, yeah, I mean, she was upset, but I mean, it comes with that kind of conversation. Like, I didn't.
Did she accuse you of anything?
I mean, being a woman, I mean, she's like, is there somebody else? I'm like, no, there's nobody else. I mean, this is me talking to you about this. Isn't it like somebody came into my life and took me from you? This is, you know, me talking to you. This is just me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's no outside influence coming from this. Like, this is how I feel.
Chris phrases this as if Shanann asking this was disrespectful to his feelings, even though there was another woman and he was only asking for a separation in order to be with said other woman. Shanann knows Chris. She knows that he is not the kind of person to make giant life decisions, and would much prefer to sit idly by as things are decided for him. Him choosing to leave her when she is barely 3 months pregnant is not in line with his pattern of behavior, so she questioned him about that. We're going to be skipping the next 15 minutes of the interview. As we have noted, nothing of value to add to the footage, but the original commentary-free video will be linked below if you are interested in what was said during that portion.
So when you're talking to Shanann, obviously in the bed, about, you know, your financial situation and that you think you should separate and that kind of stuff, like, does she ever, like, act out against you, like, you know, being pissed off, like, slap you?
No,
hit
because,
you,
no, you're talking about financial situation in general?
No, like that morning when you guys
Oh.
were talking in bed and she's
Oh, no.
crying and upset, like, does she act out
Oh,
at
no,
all
there's
against you?
we've never, like, raised a hand to each other, struck each other, like, we don't even really yell at each other. Like, it's like, when we talk, it's pretty civil.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she didn't raise a hand, she didn't yell, she didn't do anything like that.
This statement will become incredibly important later on, but for now, Note that he claims that she never raised a hand to him throughout the relationship.
Okay. And you
No,
not
no,
use
no,
her or anything like
definitely
that?
not.
Okay. So when is, like, how long did you guys end up talking in the bed?
So it was almost about 5.
Okay. So about 45 minutes?
Yeah, it was like give or take, yeah.
Okay. And then she tells you, I'm taking the kids to a friend's house, but I'll be back later.
Yeah.
And she didn't tell you what friend that was, or did she?
That's why I was very vague, and that's why I texted her later that day, like, hey, like, if you could tell me where you went and where the kids up, like, where you took the kids, like, yeah. I'd like to know.
Okay. And then, you do what after you get out of bed?
Yeah, so like I go downstairs and pack my lunch, make a protein shake, down that, fill my water jug up, get my computer, get my book bag, and put some more tools in my truck,
And your truck is where at this time?
it's over on the corner of the house. Yeah, it's over on the west side.
And that's where you normally park the truck?
Mm-hmm. Like either there or across the street where the neighbors is over there, 'cause I had it parked over there 'cause there's somebody going through the garages and cars parked on the outside, and like.
Pausing for a brief moment, this is the exact portion of the interview that Chris would be dreading. Because he was caught on camera loading his car into the garage, he was really loading his family into the back of the truck to dispose of their bodies. He was forced to watch this footage mere hours after it happened, which we witnessed in our first video, and was so distressed by the footage, his own neighbor would tell Officer Coonrod that he likely hurt his family. Chris is ridiculously insecure around this information, because, based on their home security, as well as his neighbor's camera, this was the only time Shanann and the girls could have left the home. So how he describes this is vitally important. He will have been practicing for this portion of the interrogation, preparing himself to try and make his actions on this morning make sense. Once more, he brings up the fact that weeks prior, there had been some burglaries in the area, and that he was forced to move his car because of that. He makes a noticeable change to the story, though, by saying he moved his car because his neighbor told him to, which he might believe will lend him some credibility. This entire next portion will be filled with lies. Let's see how believable he comes across.
Stealing stuff.
Like in your neighborhood, or
Yeah.
just in Frederick?
In our neighborhood, there was like 3 or 4 nights in a row, like they found somebody, like on cameras. Like,
So are you saying you parked the truck a little closer to your house, or?
well, like sometimes I was parking on the neighbor's side where his camera faces.
Oh, just so they can catch it? or
Just
whatever?
like 'cause my doorbell camera doesn't reach that far.
Okay. And do you know what his camera angle is? Like, have you looked at his surveillance video?
He told
in
me
the
where to
past?
park it.
Oh, he did?
Yeah,
So that it could watch it?
yeah.
Okay.
He told me to park it like right. I didn't want to park in front of his driveway because I didn't want somebody to back into it. Like if his wife or somebody forgot, like, oh, there's not usually a truck there or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
They want someone to back into it.
Sure. So tell me that morning exactly what you did with your truck and.
Yeah, so I got in my truck.
Immediately when asked about what he did that morning in regards to his truck, his voice breaks. The camera quality is not the best, but the fact that he is so stressed that it caused his voice to break like a teenager is telling. He has been talking to this interviewer for multiple hours, and the only time he has ever shown vocal distress is right now. When talking about what he did with his car, he is already off to a bad start.
Pulled forward, backed up to my garage so I can get everything in because like since it was over the weekend, like I had everything already inside. Like I wanted to have my big clear container, I had my O-rings and like my headphone or my earbuds and everything like that. And I had to get a couple like combination wrenches, opening wrenches from my toolbox. I knew like I was gonna rebuild a stuffing box that day or helping Troy do that, and Cody and Melissa and Chad were gonna be out there too. So I had to get some opening wrenches and stuff like that out of my own toolbox because that works better than the ones like because they're longer, more torque on them. So
Okay.
got all that, threw it in my truck.
And are you talking about you threw stuff in the back of your truck or
No,
in the passenger
And
compartment?
for passenger, I got 2 big clear containers in there where I can keep things organized. So that I like if I have somebody riding with me, like if I have like a ride along or something, like because I do trainees every once in a while,
Mhm.
so that they can have their stuff in there too, so I can just slide stuff over, move it, and just like they can just jump into.
Okay. Okay. So, you load all that stuff up, and then, like, how long do you think that takes you to do that?
Probably 10 minutes.
Okay.
So
And
like
then-
5:15 to like 5:25 or so.
Okay. And are you actually backed into the garage or just in the driveway?
Back then, I was like not really back into the garage because her car was sitting in the garage,
So how far in the garage do you think you were?
quarter of the way.
A quarter of the way?
Well, Cause I'm not in a quarter, maybe like an eighth of the way.
Okay. Is it a big truck? I didn't see it.
It's F-250.
Okay.
Yeah, it won't fit in the garage because it's too long, so.
Okay. So you load all that stuff up, and then what do you do from there?
Get in the truck and pull forward, close it, or hit the button for the garage door to close and drive off.
So how often do you actually take your tools out and put them in the garage or in the house or wherever you put them?
I'll take that container out. I usually do it like on the Friday, like I got everything done and like get it in there, get it in the house.
So is that normal that you would take it out on Friday and then that Monday when you go to work, you would back your truck in and load your stuff in? I mean,
yeah, that's pretty normal for me.
That's a normal.
Yeah.
Chris wanted to make the fact that he backed the truck into the garage seem like a non-issue, like it was a common weekly occurrence that was so regular that it was completely circumstantial that the day his family went missing, he happened to do so. But Chris and Shanann were creatures of habit. They had their routines and they stuck to them, so much so that their next-door neighbor told Officer Coonrod at the scene that Chris never put his car in their driveway. He noted this because, prior to Shanann's death, he had asked the couple why they didn't just park the truck in the garage if they knew cars were being broken into. They told him that the car leaked oil, and so they didn't want to ruin the garage or the driveway. Chris is hoping that the neighbor just forgot that fact, and that the police wouldn't obtain all his security camera footage that showed where Chris parked every day after work.
Okay, and you said you tried earlier that you tried to call Shanann, is that right?
I texted her at like 7:40.
Sorry, just let me say that, I'm still going. You texted her when?
7:40 in the morning.
Okay. And then, did you ever try and call her during the day?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'm not sure what time it was. I can't get that far on my phone now.
Did that go through, that
yeah.
call? And
I did it from this phone.
And did she just not answer?
Yep,
or?
I just went to voicemail.
Okay, okay. And then, did you call anyone else?
Mm-hmm.
Did you call the police department? Did you call, Nicole? I can't remember if you...
like right after I couldn't get a hold of her?
Yeah.
Besides calling Shanann's cell phone in order to try and frame her for the children's disappearance and to give himself an alibi, Chris made no other calls that morning. He would claim that he did, and his phone simply didn't register the calls because he had poor reception. But that, like the majority of what he has said, is not true. Chris would receive a significant amount of calls that morning, namely from Nicole Atkinson and Shanann's family, asking if he knew where she was. Chris would try to ignore these calls and tell them that his wife was fine, that she was at a friend's house or on a play date, and would get back to them soon. Even when he was told that Shanann hadn't gone to her doctor's appointment, that her car was still in the garage, and there was no way that she left on her own, Chris continued to ignore the crisis that was brewing. The night prior, the interrogator had stated that his inaction made the majority of people working on the case believe that he had something to do with her disappearance, and he is now being given the chance to rewrite this narrative, and almost immediately he fumbles it.
So like at 12 o'clock I texted her, or I called her again, and at 12 I texted her again, like, hey, call me. And then at 12:10 that's when Nicole showed up at the house. So I got a alert saying the doorbell detected a visitor. And that's when I called her about 12:20, like, hey, what's going on? And she said that, Shanann hasn't got a hold of anybody or answered anybody for today, since she got home, so.
Okay.
And then I asked her, like, alright, just like looking at, she said the house or the shoes were laying next to the door, and the car was still in the garage.
Is that weird, the shoes thing? Why did she bring up the shoes thing?
Well, because she could see them sitting right there.
I mean, but are they
that's
significant?
That's the ones, like, she was wearing, I guess, in the airport.
Oh.
Type thing.
Are those the ones she wears? Like
she has a couple different flip-flops that she wears, but I think those are the ones she probably wore from the airport. Okay. Because they were sitting next to the door.
Shanann wore a certain pair of shoes every day. That's the reason her shoes still being inside the house was notable. Once more, Chris has shown that the moment he stopped caring about Shanann, he dumped every piece of information about her out of his head.
Find any of her shoes missing?
She had a whole shoe closet.
You wouldn't know if there were some missing.
I mean, it goes up to the wall.
Okay.
So.
Okay. I thought I heard something, maybe you called, Primrose or...
Yeah. I asked that. I don't remember what time that was. I asked if the kids were there.
Oh, okay. Was there any other conversation you had with them, or?
Well, I just told them, like, if that we're more than likely going to be putting the house up for sale, and that, like, I'm not sure if they're going to be, like, because we might not be in the area anymore, but I wanted the kids just back on the waiting list if we're not going to be there.
Sure.
That's not what he said. He told the school and daycare that his daughters would no longer be attending, point blank. He didn't ask to be put on a wait list. He didn't mention that they would be moving. He wanted his daughters disenrolled in school from the moment they were out of his life, so he didn't have to wait to move to be with his new girlfriend.
I know, like at our daycare, they charge on Mondays for the week. Is that how Primrose works, or how do they do it?
Yeah, 'cause like that was gonna be their first day back.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they would have charged your card or whatever, $500 or?
Or when they showed up, yeah.
Okay, okay. So you were just giving them a heads up?
Yeah.
And did you already know that they weren't gonna be there?
No, that's why I called them just to see, like, if they were there or not, 'cause she said she was gonna take the kids to a friend's house.
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, okay.
That makes no sense. Let's break that down. Chris called Primrose to disenroll them and tell them that the girls would no longer be attending school or daycare because they were moving soon. He did this before the girls would have been dropped off that morning to attend, meaning the girls would not be there anyway, and they would be saving themselves the cost of daycare, at least for that week. But also somehow, he was calling to see if the girls were there, because he thought Shanann might have dropped them off before going to a friend's house. This obviously bullshit story was probably made up after Nicole told Chris that Shanann had a doctor's appointment and plans with other people that morning, and had planned to drop the girls off at daycare beforehand.
That's what I called it, maybe she ended up taking them there.
Oh, okay.
But, no.
Okay. Any other phone calls to anyone else?
Other than Nicole, like when she showed up at the house.
That was pretty much it?
Yep.
Okay. And then you can't get a hold of her, Nicole's there, and then that starts that whole process where you end up driving home.
I know we've pointed this out countless times, but he is completely monotone and uncaring. He is recounting finding his home completely empty, with his wife and kids missing. This is something he has described as being his nightmare and the most traumatizing thing he had ever gone through, and he talks about it more casually than he talked about the shirt that Shanann gave him before killing her.
So you get home, and obviously you said you open the garage door and go through the house. Tell me all the things that seemed odd about the way the house was.
So,
it's odd.
It was, well, the car being there with the car seats, that was odd. The purse, wallet, still being there. Phone's a big thing for me, 'cause that's still there.
Chris has done his best to imply that Shanann has taken the girls, in this interview and all the previous interviews with the media, even though it's physically impossible for her to have done this the way he locked up the home. He still believes that if he implies certain things enough, they will eventually come to that conclusion. So let's see how he plays this.
She seemed like she was pretty attached to her phone.
Well, everybody knows she is. She's very attached to it.
Okay.
And kids' medicine. Those are the odd things.
What about her meds? Does she have medicine that she would take?
Only one she takes regularly is Imitrex, and that was not there. Like the medicine she had in her purse was for nausea, not Imitrex.
Oh, what is Imitrex for?
Migraines.
And that was gone?
That was not in her purse. Like the one that they said was in her purse, they thought was Imitrex, no, it was like for nausea. Once I read it.
Okay. As far as, do you think it could have been in her luggage that she left there, or?
Not sure. It would have been in her purse.
Okay. Did you go through her luggage? Like
No.
looking for clues, or?
I didn't go through her luggage yet.
Okay.
But like her Imitrex suspects to have that, like, you know, within hand's grasp.
And you said the kids' beds were like pulled back, or how were the kids' beds?
They weren't made.
They weren't made?
No.
Okay. Is that normal?
Pretty normal.
Okay.
For the morning, yeah.
Okay.
Especially because the kid, they just like throw everything and just like get out of bed.
And what was your bed? What did it look like?
The sheets were off of it.
Okay, tell me about that.
Like most of the time when she gets out of, like when she gets home from like a flight or something, she gets into bed like from the airport, she's gonna wash the sheets the next day. So that's what I thought when I got home.
So she had woke up and
Yeah, because she was, yeah.
stripping the bed or
Yeah,
whatever?
yeah.
Okay. Are those sheets on the bed now, or
No, I don't think so.
are they still in the piles or whatever, like where she put them?
I think, because I washed everything and I put different sheets on there.
So where are the sheets? Oh, you washed those sheets, did you put them away in the closet or something? In the closet?
It should either be like right on the pile on the ground or something like that, right there.
In the bedroom?
Yeah.
Okay. So you washed the sheets that were on the bed, or you left them there and just put on new sheets?
So I put on, like, I washed those sheets. I washed sheets that were on there, and they should still be in the room.
Oh, clean, like,
Yeah.
In a pile or
Yeah.
whatever? Okay.
Yeah, but I put, like, ones that were in the closet in there. Ones that were already clean, like, I wanted to just make the bed anyways.
Okay, so the bed's made now?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Okay. So when you slept on the bed Monday night, it had new sheets from you changing it, or?
So Monday, yeah, like, when I slept there Monday night, yeah, there was new sheets on there.
Okay, because the bed was already stripped?
Yeah.
When you got in or whatever?
Yeah.
Anything else that was odd? I know you said there were some things missing from the kids' rooms, or their blankets?
Blankets. Yeah,
Okay.
blankets.
What do you think about that?
I mean, that's what kids always take with them.
Like, even to go, like, if you...
Yeah,
went
like,
to-
if, like, Cece, she wants that Yankee blanket, and Bella, like, wants her blanket, especially if she feels like, you know, we tell her, like, leave it at the house now, she's getting old enough. But,
So, like, if you're going to Target or run errands, like, are they taking their stuff with them?
Bella will, well, Cece definitely will have that Yankee blanket, and sometimes she wants her little, that dog that, like, makes cooling sounds and whatnot.
Okay, and that's gone, you said, right?
Yeah.
That dog?
Yeah, but Bella's cat's still there.
Was she as attached to the cat as Cece was to the dog?
Not as much.
Not as much. Okay, anything else missing, weird? What about, the pajamas that they were in, that you put them in after they showered, the nightgowns or whatever? Are those at the house?
I didn't see those. I mean, there's still, like, dirty laundry in there from the kids,
Okay,
but, like, I didn't see those in per se. I didn't see those, and then there's some nightgowns in there, but I didn't see those. Not the ones I described to you.
okay. So obviously, you know, you've had a lot of time to think about this stuff, and, just talking to me, like, what are your thoughts? Like, what are you thinking right now as far as, you know, what's happened, or?
Like the first day, I thought she was with somebody. I thought, she's at a friend's house and she's just decompressing, whatnot.
Mhm.
But, like, now, like, after, like, yesterday and now today, it's, I feel like she's not safe. So, like, either she is in trouble or somebody has hurt her and the kids, and we can't find them, we don't know where they are.
Put yourself in his shoes. You end your relationship with your partner of nearly 10 years. Then they go missing. Initially, you blow off the investigation, believing that they have left in order to decompress, and maybe spitefully, you believe they are trying to punish you for leaving them. But then days go by. No one has heard from them or seen them, and now you believe that they are actually in trouble. Before, you weren't necessarily worried about their safety, because you thought they would come home after a few hours. But now you regret how nonchalant and uncaring you were. You feel guilty about it, and you feel like you wasted precious time that could have been better spent looking for them. If what Chris is saying is true, he would be a wreck. He'd be crippled by guilt, actively looking for his family and blaming himself for what had happened. He'd express some kind of remorse for how he initially handled himself, and apologize to the officers about his behavior, citing his inability to see what had actually happened. There would be some sense of urgency towards the situation, wanting to find his wife and kids, but instead, he is completely monotone and uncaring. It's worse than when you ask a teenager to apologize for something they clearly aren't sorry for. He is so detached from the situation that even when he says he thinks harm has befallen his daughters, he doesn't seem at all affected. What he is saying is all well and good, and maybe if he were a better liar, he'd be more convincing. But his blank, unfeeling voice, saying that he believes something terrible has happened to his family, is borderline comical.
So if I ask you on the polygraph test if you physically caused Shanann's disappearance, can you pass that
Yes.
question?
Yes.
What do you think I mean by that when I'm asking you if you physically caused Shanann's disappearance? What does that mean to you?
If you ask me that, like, I feel like you're asking me, did I have anything to do with it myself, or did I help somebody do it? And I had no part in any of that.
And I know it's totally awful to think about, but what are ways, because I need to make sure that you know what I'm talking about, what are ways that you can make someone disappear?
She is asking these questions for a very specific reason. When people contest a polygraph's findings, they usually do so on the basis that they didn't understand the question that was asked. Let's say Chris was asked if he made his family disappear, and he said no, but the polygraph came back indicating deception. His lawyers could claim that he felt morally responsible, even though he knows he isn't to blame, or something along those lines. Again, as we already mentioned earlier in the video, polygraph tests are not reliable and are not admissible in court, but she wants to make sure that he fully understands what she is going to be asking of him. There is also another reason she is asking this specific question. At this point, the investigators believe that they know how Shanann died. They have found enough evidence at his home and on his electronics that points them in a certain direction, and it is now their goal to try and get Chris to admit guilt. By asking him indirectly how this could have happened and to put himself in the shoes of whoever did this to Shanann, they are putting a significant amount of pressure onto Chris. His mind would immediately default to what he did to his family, and he would have a hard time thinking about any other examples to put forward.
I mean, like, if you're talking about like what I've seen like on the movies, or like how people, if you read about other people, I mean, you hire somebody.
Once again, Chris's voice breaks like a teenage boy. This question caused him so much stress that it manifested vocally. In our past series on Ezra, we noted that every time a question was put towards her, she would repeat the query back, as if she was seeking some kind of clarification, even when it was easily answered. She did this to buy a small bit of time. That way she could process what was being asked of her, if she could answer it honestly, or if she had lied about the question in the past. Chris does a similar thing here, looking for clarification in order to try and think of an answer to this question that is far removed from what he had done to his wife and children.
Like a hitman?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just being honest.
No, but that's what I want, because I want you to go through all of these scenarios in your head, because I want you to know for sure what I'm talking about when I say that, asking you if you physically caused her disappearance.
Okay, like you'd hire somebody, or you'd have somebody that would do it. I mean, it's like, it's hard. It's a hard question to answer.
I know this sucks.
It's a hard question to answer.
Right.
Because it had nothing to do with this disappearance.
Right.
So like, I don't even want to think about like, if you're asking me like how I would do it, it's like
anyone. Like how would anyone cause someone else's disappearance?
I've seen some people online state that this was the first time that Chris became emotional in these interviews, but that is untrue. He isn't crying here. He's laughing because he is incredibly uncomfortable. It also is not a hard question to answer, especially if you are in the middle of a missing persons investigation. Family members of the missing person often discuss how their minds will wander and focus on what their relatives would be going through, if they were okay, and what happened to them. And more often than not, those thoughts turn dark. They think of all the true crime shows, the action movies that delve into the topic, and they can't help but think of the different ways their friend or family member could be being kept away from them. While they don't want to focus on that information, they can't help it. But the reason this specific question is difficult for Chris isn't because he loves his wife and kids, and thinking about what could have happened to them is hard. It's difficult because he murdered them, and when asked to theorize ways he could have done it, he cannot help but to remember what he did just days prior.
I mean, you would.
You could cause someone's disappearance by murdering them. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
So what different physical ways could you cause someone's disappearance through murder? You could stab someone, right?
Stab someone, shoot someone, hit them with a blunt object. What else is there? I mean, use a weapon like gun or knife. I mean,
okay.
You could.
You could smother someone. You could strangle someone.
Hang someone. I mean, yeah, you can, all that kind of things. I mean, it's hard to even think about that kind of stuff right now.
Mm-hmm. So you could strangle someone, you could drown someone.
Yeah.
You could shock someone to death. You could burn someone alive. What other ways can you think of?
As far as like lure them into a trap, I guess.
So what do you mean? What?
Like, like have somebody waiting like around the corner and like,
Sure.
An accident that happens, hit by a car, I mean, something like that.
Sure.
Like, I don't want to say the same thing there, but
You could kidnap them and take them and, lock them up in a basement somewhere, or, you know what I mean, they could still be alive, but you
And,
were.
you're like torturing, so you could, like I said, take them somewhere, torture them, and let them sit there without food or water.
Or even kidnap them and leave them somewhere that they are, you know, not being tortured.
Yeah.
Just that they can't get out, and, you know, obviously they've disappeared because you've not allowed them to come back into society and have people see them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. What other ways could you make someone disappear?
Poison.
Okay. Yep.
Sorry, this is.
I know.
Like, that's the thing, I've already said that.
Which one are you
Like,
saying?
beat somebody, I guess, to the
To
point,
death?
like, to the point where they're unconscious and they're in a coma.
Sure.
So
if I ask you that question on the test, Chris, are you gonna have any issue with that? About you
like,
physically causing
going through every single one of
disappearance?
those?
Yeah, like that would be a way you
Okay.
could cause someone's disappearance.
Okay, no, I can definitely, like, I can pass, I mean,
Or you could murder them, you could kill.
Chris says that he believes that he could pass that, not that he understands that and won't have an issue with that specific question. Again, Chris seems to believe that he is an amazing liar, that when he lies to the police, the media, and to Shanann's friends and family, he is being incredibly convincing. So convincing, in fact, that there would be no physical manifestations of his guilt. But we know that isn't true. Even though polygraph tests are less than reliable, Chris has no reason to believe that he will pass this, besides confidence in himself, which is incredibly misplaced.
Kidnap them, you could take them to another country, you could, you know, bury them in your backyard,
Yeah.
you could do a million things.
Yeah.
As far as, trying to conceal them.
Yeah.
Right? So that no one can find them.
Yes.
Because at this point, she's gone.
Yes.
And the girls are gone, like, we don't know where they're at, right?
Mhm.
So we're assuming the worst, but hoping the best, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
I think that you're kind of in that spot too, so.
Yeah.
If I ask you that question, if you physically caused her disappearance, so when I say physically caused, I say it that way because I don't want you to feel, everyone has guilt, right? And I don't want you to feel like, you know what, I told her that I didn't want to be with her anymore, so I probably caused her disappearance because she obviously took off with the girls, and because of what I told her, that I didn't want to be with her anymore.
That's why I feel like a jackass right now.
Right. So when I ask you the question on the test, I'm not asking you about guilt. I'm not asking you about, did you make her feel so horrible that she ended up leaving? I'm saying that you were the one that physically caused her to disappear.
Okay.
Either by murder, kidnapping, you know, all of those other things that we went through, okay?
You want me to list all those, like?
No.
Oh,
You're just
okay.
gonna say no to that question.
Okay.
When I ask you if you physically caused Shanann's disappearance,
Okay.
your answer should be what?
No.
Right. So do you have any issues with that at all, and
No.
or have any question about what I would mean when I was
No,
would be
that's
asking
total,
that
like, I
question?
just like going through all those that, that's
Right.
a lot to really think about.
Right.
Like
But
trying to figure out, like, that was.
it's a lot, but it's very simple.
Yeah.
Because if you didn't have anything to do physically
Yeah.
with her disappearance, maybe you pissed her off to the point that she ended up taking off with the kids, or maybe she became suicidal and, you know, offed herself somewhere that we just haven't found her yet.
Like, I feel like emotionally responsible, but I didn't physically hurt her.
Exactly.
For the kids.
Right. And that's what I wanna ask you about.
Okay.
Okay? Just physically causing her disappearance.
Okay. And the
You
kids,
were the
right?
one directly.
Okay.
I'm gonna ask you about Shanann.
Okay.
I think we can all assume that, wherever Shanann is, the little girls are.
Yes.
So, I'm just gonna ask you about Shanann.
This just loop the kids with it though, right?
What's that?
That's looping the kids with it though too, like everything's just kinda like, cause like when the FBI was asking me yesterday, he asked about the kids, but like,
Right.
he was looping Shanann in with it too.
Sure.
Okay.
So I wanna know about Shanann.
Okay.
I'm gonna ask you this test about Shanann.
Okay.
Okay? Like I said, obviously, as investigators, we can kind of assume that, they're all together.
Okay.
Somewhere. But I'm gonna ask you on the test about Shanann.
Okay.
Specifically.
Okay.
Okay? The next question I was gonna ask you was, are you lying about the last time you saw her?
No.
And describe the last time that you saw her.
Last time I saw her, she was in bed after I had talked to her.
Okay, alive
laying in bed. Like, she just physically laid in bed.
This is a lie.
Okay, was she crying still? Was she saying anything? Was she?
She had just told me she was gonna go to a friend's house with the kids, and she'd be back later. And that was the last time I saw her.
So describe what she looked like. Was she like on her back, on her side?
On her side.
On her side?
On her right side.
Could you see her face?
Yes.
Okay, and what did her face look like?
She had mascara that kind of running down a little bit.
Okay, and that is?
She didn't take her makeup off before she went to bed that night.
Okay.
Obviously, because.
So to your knowledge, that is.
That's the last time I saw her.
That's the last time you would have seen her.
Yes. And the last time I saw the kids was in the monitor as it was like.
So obviously, if someone, you know, we have to talk about worst case scenarios. You know, if for some reason you murdered her, that would not have been the last time you saw her. Do you agree with that?
I agree with that.
Okay. Because obviously she's not in the house, and if she got murdered in the house, she obviously got out of the house somehow.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So at some point, the person, if they did hurt her or murder her, they would have saw her again.
Yep.
If she was laying in the bed crying, or, you know, with her mascara running down or whatever. Do you agree with that?
I agree with that.
Okay.
The polygraph technician is really setting the stage in a way where Chris will be functionally unable to use any of the excuses that he'd planned on using. Some people, especially people like Chris, who have very little knowledge as to how polygraphs work, believe that if they answer a question in a factually dishonest way that may be technically true, then it won't register as a lie. Like in the scenario we just went over, Chris was using that last time he had seen Shanann alive, but not the last time that he saw her in general. So he was lying when he said that the last time he saw Shanann, she was laying down on the bed. Yes, but he was technically lying because he answered the question as if there was an added detail that would have changed it entirely. Again, this is not how polygraphs work, and if Chris believed that that was the case at the start of this interview, he would have no idea how to properly get through this interaction without implicating himself.
The last question I want to ask you is if you know where Shanann is now.
I do not.
Okay. Obviously, you know, you've talked to the police, you've helped with the missing person investigation. So this would be more like, you know, maybe Shanann did call you, you know, a couple nights ago and like, dude, just don't tell him, like, I just can't handle this right now, like, I just need to get away, like, just, you know, keep it on the down low, whatever. Maybe she told you that. Maybe if you were a person that murdered her, you obviously dumped her body somewhere or had someone else help you dump her body, you would know where that site was or where that place was. Does that make sense now? If the last time you saw her was when she was laying in bed, when she was alive and kind of having makeup run down her face, obviously that wouldn't be, you wouldn't know where she is, right? Because obviously right now we can't find her.
No.
Does that make sense to you? Do all those questions make sense to you?
Yes.
So what would you answer to all of those questions?
I had nothing to do with what's going on right now. I did not physically harm her.
Okay.
I did, the last time I saw her was in bed, laying on her side with some mascara on her face after we had a conversation. And I do not know where she is right now.
Well, that settles it. He's innocent.
Okay.
That was it.
Yep.
Okay.
So you nailed them perfectly. Who do you think would have hurt Shanann and the girls? Like, who do you think would have done something to them?
Honestly, it's like we've exhausted like every option that we have of people that know.
Like, even if it's kind of crazy, like, what is your one go-to, like, thought about what could have happened?
That it's somebody I don't know, and I don't know who they are or what they're about, and that they have her and the kids, and that they're not safe right now, and that they've been physically hurt.
Okay. So, obviously, like I said, we kind of have to expect the worst and hope for the best. If we do end up finding your wife and your two girls murdered, what do you think should happen to that person that would have done that?
The worst possible thing.
Like what?
I mean, it's either going to be like life in prison or the death penalty, isn't it? And that's the only two things you really can do. I think that's the only thing you really, that's the only penalty you have.
I mean, there's some people that are like, well, obviously that person's really screwed up and maybe they deserve some, you know.
Yeah, I just know because it's my wife and my kids, so like from a neutral perspective, then that'd be different. But it's my wife and kids.
Okay. Do you know anything else about I mean, is there anything you haven't told detectives that you want to share with us today?
Now would have been the perfect moment for Chris to come forward about his affair. Though the detectives already know about it, Chris was handed a prime opportunity to come forward and appear to cooperate with the investigation. Let's see if he takes it.
No, I mean, we've exhausted every option of trying to reach out to friends and family that may have seen her or heard from her.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, we have like nothing really else to like go off of right now as far as like who could have her or where she could be.
Okay.
Well, that's fucking great.
Okay. I'm gonna have you take a bathroom break because we've been in here quite a while. Do you want Gatorade?
I'm good, thank you.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
I figured maybe you want something.
Uh,
Water.
Oh, maybe.
Maybe. Okay. Do you want a Mountain Dew?
Oh, no, no Mountain Dew.
You stay away from that
I
stuff?
haven't had a soda in like years.
Well, don't start now, right? Do you have any bad habits?
I used to, like Oreos and soda were my go-to.
During the pregnancy?
Yep.
What kind of soda did you like?
Mountain Dew.
Now, you see?
That's what I'm like.
Delicious. Everyone at work makes fun of me for drinking it.
No, like my favorite was like the Baja Blast Mountain Dew.
Oh, see, I didn't like that. Because don't they still have that at
Taco Bell.
Taco Bell?
That's where it was.
That's right.
So steak quesadilla and Mountain Dew Baja Blast was my go-to.
Let's go over the questions that are going to be on the test. Is that cool with you?
Yeah.
Just so you know the words to all the questions and there's no surprises and that kind of stuff, okay? And then we'll...
Am I allowed to like breathe like during this?
Yeah, I'll explain all of that to you. It's, you're obviously still a person and you still have functions that have to go on for you to be alive, so yes, you'll be able to breathe, and we just don't want you to move a bunch during the test, and I'll explain that to you. And it's for very short periods of time, and I have no doubt, being a healthy guy like you are, that you'll have no problem doing that.
Okay.
Okay. I've had like 15-year-old boys up to like 85-year-old men that are able to sit still just during the polygraph, so.
Okay.
I have no doubt someone like you is more than able to sit still.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to go over the questions that are going to be on the test. Like I said, I'm going to tell you every single question. There's not a question I'm just going to add, you know, for the thrill of it or anything like that. You're going to know all the words. So the first question that's going to be on the test is going to be regarding Shanann's disappearance. Do you intend to answer all of the questions truthfully?
Yes.
Okay. And you're only going to get to answer yes or no to these questions, okay?
Oh, okay.
So it's easy because, you know, there should be no question in your mind whether you need to answer yes or no to the questions, okay?
The polygraph operator has perfectly destroyed every way that Chris believed he was going to be able to trick the test. He thought he could answer based on technicalities. He thought he could, as he had been, give explanations about why certain events transpired or why he was answering in a certain way. And he thought, truly, that he could convince the FBI of his innocence. But it's starting to dawn on him that that isn't the case.
So the first relevant question that I'm going to ask, that we had already gone over, is going to be, did you physically cause Shanann's disappearance?
No.
Are you lying about the last time you saw Shanann?
No.
And I'm saying her name right?
Yep.
Right, okay. And then do you know where Shanann is now?
No.
Okay, so those are the three that we'd already discussed before, right? So physically causing someone's disappearance is either, you know, obviously harming them to the point where they, you know, are either dead or can no longer function out, you know, or maybe you left them for dead, you know, in some field somewhere or something like that. So maybe they weren't actually deceased, but, you know, that you would have been the direct cause of their disappearance, okay? Does that make sense to you? Okay. And then obviously, lying about the last thing you saw her, that would be because maybe you helped someone or you did it yourself or something like that, and then you helped dispose of them or put them somewhere or lock them up somewhere or whatever, okay?
Okay.
And then, knowing where she is now. And again, that would be either some kind of direct knowledge, like you either saw it, you did it, you know where you put them, or someone told you where they are, something like that, or if Shanann called you and said, this is where I'm at, but you haven't told the police that kind of stuff, okay? Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
Okay. So you're going to be taking what's called a directed lie polygraph. So what that means is there are going to be questions on the test where I want you to lie. Because I want to see what your body looks like when you tell a lie on the test. Okay. I know it seems kind of weird, but you're going to know which questions these are, and they're going to be easy to answer. So it's going to be like, they're all going to start with before 2018. So this first one is before 2018. Did you ever lose your temper with someone you cared about? We've all lost our temper with someone we've cared about in our life. So I want you to think about, you don't have to tell me what it is, but I want you to actually have that moment in your mind when you actually lost your temper with someone you cared about.
Okay.
Whether it was with Shanann, whether it was with your parents, whether it was with your children, I mean, it could be with anyone, but it was
So you want me to say no to that one?
Yes, so you're going to actually lie to that question, since we
Okay.
all have lost our temper with someone we've cared about
Okay.
before. So I'm going to say before 2018, did you ever lose your temper with someone you cared about? And you're going to say,
No.
because you're telling a
Lie.
Awesome. The next one of those, because there's only 3 of those, the next one's going to be before 2018. Remember, it's all going to start with that, before 2018. If you ever hear that on the test, that is your clue to go, crap, this is a question I have to lie to on the test. Okay?
Okay.
So this one's going to be before 2018. Did you ever say anything out of anger to a loved one?
It's gonna be.
Well, we've all said something
Yeah,
out of anger
okay.
to a loved one, but
So it's
I
gonna be
want you
no.
to take a minute and actually think of a time when you've actually said something out of anger to a loved one. You have
Okay.
something in your head?
Yeah.
Okay. And I want you to actually think of that when you answer this question on the test. Okay? So again, before 2018, did you ever say anything out of anger to a loved one? You're going to say,
No.
because you're telling a
Lie.
Awesome.
Something of note here is the fact that Chris had stated in his prior interviews that he was not the kind of person to say something out of anger to someone he loves in an argument, and repeated that sentiment throughout his initial interview. Even here, when she is stating that he would have to lie in his answer to this question, he starts by saying yes, he had never done that, because in his mind, that would be a lie, which is impossible. Everyone has regrets, especially when it comes to things they have said or done in arguments with loved ones. Even the best communicators can be stressed and lash out. And according to Chris's own version of events, he was impossibly stressed by work and being a dad, so much so that he wanted to divorce his newly pregnant wife. The idea that he never said anything to Shanann or the girls in a moment of irritation or stress is not only unbelievable, it's impossible, but that's what he believes. Chris holds himself in extremely high regard. He does not consider himself to be a cruel or combative person, and instead views himself as a mediator. He was the kind of person to see all sides of an argument, and to not get involved. Meanwhile, it was his wife who was the instigator, with her loud opinions and her abrasive attitude.
The last one is before 2018. Have you ever wanted to hurt someone to get even with them? Not that you actually hurt them, but that maybe they pissed you off so bad, that you were like, oh, I can punch that guy in the face right now, or, whatever. Not that you actually ended up even hurting anyone, but that you ever thought about hurting someone to get even with them. So I want you to take a moment and think about a time, and just make sure that you do have something in your head.
Okay.
Got it? So when I ask you this question on the test, before 2018, have you ever wanted to hurt someone to get even with them? You're going to say,
No.
because you're telling a
Lie.
Awesome. The next questions are what we call known truth questions. They're going to be really easy to answer. So it's going to be, is your first name Christopher?
Yes.
Good. Were you born in 1985?
Yes.
Are you now in the state of Colorado?
Yes.
Are you now sitting down?
Yes.
Are the lights on in this room?
Yes.
Do you understand that I will only ask you the questions we have discussed? That's the last
Yes.
question. Okay. So we just went through every single question on the test.
Okay.
So the only questions that you'll hear come out of my mouth. Okay? So let me go through those one more time, and you just say yes or no how you would answer them on the test, okay?
Okay.
That's it. Any of those questions give you any heartburn or make you go, well?
Just my heart's kind of still like is this whole like.
Right. And this is not a process that where you shouldn't be nervous, so
Yeah.
that is to be expected. That's
Yeah.
totally fine, and like I told you before, that's not gonna cause you to fail the test or anything like that, because
Okay.
no one would take the test if that's what it went off of, okay?
Okay. This is what I feel right now, so it's like, I don't know, like,
Did you do any research on polygraph or
no,
anything like that? Okay.
no, like, I don't, all I know is like when I see it on TV, all I see is like, you know, this right here, and then like that, and then like that, and it's like you just judge it off your heart rate, or what is the deal?
Yeah, and I'll explain all those components that I'm gonna put on you.
So I know, like,
Here
I mean,
in a
I came in here, my heart's going a million miles a minute, and it hasn't stopped.
Yeah, so, and you'll notice too, that, the second I put all the components on you, that's when it really feels like, oh shit, it just got real. Like, that's just, everyone has that oh shit moment, right, when everything gets attached, because
Yeah.
then you're like, oh crap.
This is the second time in this footage where Chris has tried to give himself an out. It's been over 3 hours since this interview began, but if you recall, at the beginning, Chris stated that Shanann's family was telling him to protect himself, and they were telling him to not consider talking to the police and to the press. He was trying to give himself a small bit of wiggle room, so he doesn't appear uncooperative without reason. He does that again here, by talking about how nervous and borderline in distress he is. His claims don't carry any weight though, because we can see him. He's not in distress. He is the same as he always is, which is to say, placid. He could easily do the interview without issue. We will be skipping the next 15 minutes of footage, as we have no commentary to provide for it.
The test is about to begin, please remain still. Regarding what number you wrote on the piece of paper, did you write the number 1?
No.
Did you write the number 2?
No.
Did you write the number 3?
No.
Did you write the number 4?
No.
Did you write the number 5?
No.
This portion of the test is complete. Please remain still while I take the instrument out of operation. Okay, you can relax. How'd you feel? You did great.
That was,
You remembered to lie and everything. That was awesome.
that was,
So,
Yeah.
you obviously are a really bad liar. Have people told you that before? Like, the second you tell a lie, like, they can tell, like, on your face that, because the second you lied to the number 3, like, I don't know if you heard me clicking, but I had to, like, turn down the sensitivity because you were starting to go off the page. So, that is what I need to see as a polygrapher, because that tells me that you know it's wrong to tell a lie, and you're actually having a significant reaction when you lie, so that is awesome. So thank you for being a horrible liar. No, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. We don't want to be good liars, so thank you for being a horrible liar. And that just shows me that, you know, obviously on the test when they're asking, you know, significant stuff about your wife, if you're lying to that, it's going to be even 10 times more amplified. So I appreciate that. I appreciate that very much, more than you know. So.
This would be the opposite of what Chris would want to hear. For the past 2 days, he's been lying to everyone in his life, telling them various mistruths, with the idea that he was so convincing that he was able to trick the police, the FBI, and the people closest to him. And now he's being told that he is such a bad liar that she had to turn down the sensitivity of the polygraph to make up for it. She also went further to state that Chris's face makes it obvious when he is lying, which, having watched his media interviews, we already knew. This is the worst thing that Chris could have heard at this very moment, and this will only compound the stress he's feeling.
Oh, that was awesome. So let me get the questions to the test up. If you want to take a drink of your water, just to kind of...
You're fine.
You're good?
Yep.
Okay. So, do you have any other questions about the questions of the test? Okay. So, we're going to ask these sets of questions. We have to ask them at least 3 times, so we call them charts. So we have to do at least 3 charts. We can do up to 5 charts depending on, you know, if you're not giving me good data for some reason, or you're moving or something like that, we could do up to 5 charts, okay? So hopefully we'll get them done in 3. That's what my hope is. And I imagine we will get them done in 3, so, okay. And the coolest thing about this is right now, there's only one person in this room that knows what the truth is. And in about 5 minutes, there's gonna be 2 of us, so that's the coolest part, okay? And then I can go share that with them out there, okay?
Okay.
So do you don't have any other questions or anything?
No.
Perfect.
Chris has gone essentially non-vocal because of the stress that he's feeling. When she offers some relief and asks if he wants some water or to move a bit more, he rejects it. It would seem that he is coming to terms with the fact that he is about to be found out and is terrified, albeit not as terrified as his wife and daughters were when he killed them.
So you don't want to take a sit before we start?
Oh well. Take my heart rate off the scales.
That's all right. I told you you're creating your own baseline, so you're good.
Okay.
No problem. Okay, so you let me know when you're ready to begin. During this part of the test, I want you to focus on the back of the chair, okay? Not looking up, down,
Okay.
side to side, anything like that. I want you
Was I doing that?
Nope, you did
Okay.
great. But obviously the clipboard is gone now, so your area of focus is going to be like in this area, okay?
Okay.
Don't like focus on something so intense that you end up, you know, kind of going cross-eyed. Like, just make sure you don't do that, okay? Just kind of look around, like right in that area, okay? Do you remember those questions that you have to lie to?
And before 2018?
Right. And you remember you're going to tell a lie to those questions?
Yes.
You're going to say no?
I'm going to say no to anything that says before 2018, as regards to before 2018.
Right. And you're going to think about the lie that you're telling, right?
Yeah, after you ask the full question, yes.
Yep, perfect. All right, you ready?
Let's do it.
Okay, stay still. Stay still. The test is about to begin. Please remain still. Do you understand I will only ask you the questions we have discussed?
Yes.
Your answer? Regarding Shanann's disappearance, do you intend to answer all of the questions truthfully?
Yes.
Is your first name Christopher?
Yes.
Just breathe normal. Before 2018, did you ever lose your temper with someone you cared about?
No.
Did you physically cause Shanann's disappearance?
No.
Were you born in 1985?
Yes.
Before 2018, did you ever say anything out of anger to a loved one?
No.
Are you lying about the last time you saw Shanann?
No.
Are you now in the state of Colorado?
Yes.
Before 2018, have you ever wanted to hurt someone to get even with them?
No.
Just breathe normal. you know where Shanann is now?
No.
This portion of the test is complete. Please remain still while I take the instrument out of operation. And relax. How do you feel?
Horrible.
Horrible?
Nervous.
Yeah?
Just like trying to look at something without nothing there.
The polygraph technician ends the second round of questioning differently than how she did before. In her first round, she was laughing about how Chris was a poor liar and how it would be obvious if he wasn't being honest. And now she is relatively calm, but she is a bit more distant from Chris. At this point, Chris would immediately be filled with anxiety regarding his results and wondering how poorly he did.
The chair thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. I know, it gets kind of weird. Like, that's why I always tell people not to
I
try
feel
to
like I
go
was just,
outside.
I don't know, on my feet and trying to keep everything still.
Do you feel like you're in a good position right now as far as how
I
you're
just-
sitting and that
yeah,
kind of
I
stuff?
feel like it's okay.
Okay.
Just not used to this.
Do you have any issues with the questions as far as you physically causing Shanann's disappearance? Is there anything that you are like, I don't like how that question's, worded, maybe,
No.
or does it cause you, or you know exactly what I'm talking about?
I know,
and what I mean?
I'm there.
Okay, and as far as, the last time you saw her, talking about in the bed,
Yeah.
when you saw her makeup coming out her face, and then if you know where she is now,
Yeah.
having direct knowledge of where
Mhm.
she would be at this moment, okay? Okay. So, do you wanna take some drink of water, or are you ready to start the second turn?
I'll take some water.
Okay. You probably want that Mountain Dew now,
Mm.
don't you?
I made everything, stable.
Yeah. You feel good like that?
Yep, I'm pretty good.
Get away there, but. Ready?
Yep.
I'm gonna move this up just a tad. There we go. During this test, on the last test, you're breathing really funky, so please just try and do normal breaths, okay? We can't have deep breaths or,
Oh,
stuff
no
like
deep
that.
breath? Okay,
Mhm.
sorry.
So that's okay, just breathe as normal as possible, okay?
Okay,
During the
I'll
whole
get some,
test.
okay.
Yeah. All right, you ready?
Yep.
Okay. Is this bothering you touching?
No,
it?
you're fine, I was just trying to get my hand to lay right.
Okay. We're gonna get started, so stay still. The test is about to begin. Please remain still. Do you understand that I will only ask you the questions we have discussed?
Yes.
Regarding Shanann's disappearance, do you intend to answer all of the questions truthfully?
Yes.
you now in the state of Colorado?
Yes.
Before 2018, have you ever wanted to hurt someone to get even with them?
No.
Are you lying about the last time you saw Shanann?
No.
Is your first name Christopher?
Yes.
Before 2018, did you ever lose your temper with someone you cared about?
No.
Do you know where Shanann is now?
No.
Were you born in 1985?
Yes.
Before 2018, did you ever say anything out of anger to a loved one?
No.
It's pretty normal. Did you physically cause Shanann's disappearance?
No.
This portion of the test is complete. Please remain still while I take the instrument out of operation. You can relax. I think we should be able to get it in one more chart, but I really need your breathing to be normal.
Okay,
You are like all
sorry.
over the place, so.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Like sometimes I feel like I'm not breathing enough and I'm like, like that. I don't want to do that, so.
Yeah, yeah. I just need it as normal as possible and not
Okay.
fluctuated, okay?
Okay. Sorry about that.
That's okay. I just want to be able to get it done for you in one more chart instead of 3 more. So, yeah.
I don't want that. I know you don't want that.
You tell me when you. Okay, I know I sound like a broken record, but I have to ask you again. Any
Okay.
issues with those questions on the test?
No.
You know exactly what I mean when I ask you
Yeah.
about physically causing your disappearance, last time you saw Shanann,
Mhm.
and if you know where she is now.
Okay.
No question about those?
No.
Okay. Feel good?
Yep.
Okay.
Good.
We're gonna get started, so stay still.
Do you think breathing through the nose or breathing through the mouth matters?
It doesn't matter, just breathe normal. Stay still. The test is about to begin, please remain still. We have discussed.
Yes.
Breathe normal. Regarding Shanann's disappearance, do you intend to answer all of the questions truthfully?
Yes.
Were you born in 1985?
Yes.
Before 2018, did you ever say anything out of anger to a loved one?
Yes. No.
Do you know where Shanann is now?
No.
Are you now in the state of Colorado?
Yes.
Before 2018, have you ever wanted to hurt someone to get even with them?
No.
Did you physically cause Shanann's disappearance?
No.
Is your first name Christopher?
Yes.
Before 2018, did you ever lose your temper with someone you cared about?
No.
Are you lying about the last time you saw Shanann?
No.
Portion of the test is complete. Please remain still while I take the instrument out of operation. Alright, how'd you feel? Same as all of it?
I think it was the same through everything.
For you.
It's kind of hard to relax.
I
honestly.
know, I get it. Trying to stick that leg straight up for me.
I just feel like my feet like sweating through my.
Right. You have flip-flops on.
I don't know. I'm a hot person.
Can you put your arms up like you had them before for me? Perfect. So I need to go grade this.
Okay.
So I will. Do you need to use the restroom or anything again?
I'm good right now.
Okay. I'll be right back.
Okay.
I'm gonna take my Mountain Dew with me.
Okay.
Are you good with your water or you want another drink?
I'll just.
Grab a Gatorade?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Can we get that door? Okay.
I got it, thank you.
Yeah.
Chris didn't pass the polygraph test, scoring a negative 18. As previously mentioned, polygraph tests are not admissible in court, and their legitimacy can be argued, but a non-passing score is a negative 4, which Chris has more than tripled. For the next 30 minutes, Chris would be left alone in the interrogation room, wondering how poorly he did. But after nearly 40 minutes by himself, Chris would pull up a video on his phone of his family and watch it.